this ordeal every single time she decides to take her bath. Now, let's look at some of the comments you've been sending to us, especially for those of you who have joined us on Facebook, and we are eternally grateful that you make time for our bulletin on Facebook. Sami Nikwe says, then the ladies there are very lazy. He's actually referring to the story from Bese. And Shalom Kwame says, laziness be what? Well, just going by that one. Prince Adasibre Jamra says, well, he's talking about something completely different. B.A. Hasim Sidibi says that in 2018, this is happening, and we say we are developed. Shame on all of us. Well, Masha Ed also talks about the laziness excuse cited in the Bese story. Kweku Nesta says, hi, Nana, I'm watching your bulletin, and throwing bath water away is a common practice in Ghana, especially here in Aboso. Can you please file a report there and see? Residents there also have to bath and pay. And he says that I love the report he's watching on TV. Bridget says, I'm watching live. The story is very comprehensive. Kudos GH1 TV. Thank you very much. So all the lands and the chiefs, also all the lands that the chiefs are selling, which people benefited from it, and also where did the royalties go to? Well, it's a serious matter indeed. This is from Abdullah Baba. There are so many messages from you, and basically you are all talking about how pathetic the situation is, and you're just seeing that over crap. We can now turn our attention to Kumasi, because there's an even more pressing issue there. Residents of Abuabo Adagomba line risk contracting diseases because they bath in filthy public bathrooms because their homes lack one. Here's a report by Isaac Bediako, who visited the community.
The Abuabo Dagomba line is a slum community within the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi. The community has a population of over 3,000 dwellers who migrated from the northern regions. Majority of the females in the community are head porters, while the males are scrub dealers. This community is made up of small wooden structures rented out to people. Each of the small wooden structures here is occupied by at least 6 people. This bathhouse you see here are the few bathhouses constructed by private individuals to be used by the community dwellers at a fee of 50 pesos and 70 pesos. Patrons of the bathhouse are always entitled to a bucket of a hot water at a fee of 70 pesos and a bucket of cold water at a fee of 60 pesos. Abubakar Baba is a caretaker of the facility and cashes in 80 to 100 Ghana cedis daily after close of work. However, like the other private bathhouse in Kumasi, particularly like the Kumasi Racecourse Market Bathhouse, which is mostly patronized by commuters and drivers, the state of the private bathhouses at Abuabo number 1 and Dagomba line are filthy and in poor state. Patrons of the facility tell GH1 News they are sometimes threatened by their landlords and operators of forceful ejection anytime they complain of their service.
Last 2 weeks before, the water is not coming, so I went there to take a bath. There's some bathroom are dirty, they don't wash it. Someone I go to a screen to say toilet in the bathroom, so I have a screen to by all means I have to take that bath before to go to work. So, but if you are complaining about that, if you are complaining about it, they will think that you are not from their tribe, so you can't talk about it.
Meanwhile, Abubakar Baba is rather blaming his clients for not keeping the bathhouse clean. According to him, some of the patrons defecate in the bathrooms while taking their bath.
Toilet dinner. So I had toilet around 90. Ubitimi urainsa no wakonewu. Onesana onane problema yenya. Yesa dia ensheda ni problem biasa.
To avoid easy spread of infection diseases in the community, especially among the females who use the private bathhouse in the area, the Asukarimanpo municipality must take interest in the poor sanitation situation in the Abuabo slum community.
Right, so that was Isaac Bediako's report from the Ashanti region, specifically Aboabo in Kumasi. Now, let's talk to Yao Eduse Boabeng. He's the public health engineer at LECMA. You're welcome to the studio. Well, our focus tonight, wasn't on your area, but I'm sure the situation is no different from the communities we have seen, is it?
No, it's not different.
Okay, tell us what happens there.
Wow, okay, the laws are laxed on availability of bathrooms in private homes because of the circumstances that black water, which is effluent from the septic tank, can cause. We are not really focused on the issues of bathrooms in homes. But as the stories roll, in fact, I've been taken aback. So going forward, our urge assemblies to enshrine in their sanitation bylaws availability of bathrooms in homes. Because at now...
So there is nothing like that in the bylaws?
No, in the sanitation
about
like
bathrooms?
That. It's the toilet issue that has been captured in the sanitation bylaws. But watching the stories up the road, in fact, it is a need of the time, and we need to enforce it.
Okay, so now I'm glad you're going to find a way to get it into the bylaws, because it is absolutely shocking and pathetic. Now, so in the mornings, you see people queuing in the Tashi area?
Yeah, that happens normally in the old towns and in the slum areas.
Okay.
Yes, people queue to take their bath. It's indecent. It is not right. The situation has to change.
Right. Yeah. Now, so as a public health engineer, tell us what the risks are.
All right. Using a shared bathroom, as we saw on the screens, poses serious health risks. You can contact diseases such as cholera and then other ones, which are fecal-oral. In the public bathrooms, definitely you make contacts with the taps, shower taps, and then the floor.
Right.
And then you can contract E. coli, bacteria which cause food poisoning, and also Vibrio cholerae, which causes cholera.
Right.
So an epidemic can break out because a lot of people patronize these bathrooms. So it poses a lot of health risks to the people who patronize them.
Okay. Now, you, of course, in the beginning, you mentioned that you're going to find a way to speak to the assembly and hopefully can cut across the board. Anyone watching tonight can make a case for the need to have bathrooms in homes. But at the time when you were drafting your laws, and I don't know if you were part of the drafters, and all of you have been hitting hard at communities to get toilets in their homes. Nobody thought about bathrooms. How did that escape all of you?
Okay, we were focusing much on the trace that black water, which is septic tanks, or the effluent the septic tanks can cause. Grey water poses health risks, but it isn't as dangerous as that of the septic tank.
Right.
So our focus was
so it was on something more pressing.
Sure. But grey water too can cause serious health risks, and just that, as compared to black water, it is nowhere near the rate of causing it. But people who do not have bathrooms are prone to many diseases, as I said. E. coli can be contracted by
touching the floor.
Yeah, touching the floor. And then those who patronize it do not follow bathroom ethics. They place their bags, their coats on the floor. They tap the taps. They don't do proper hand washing before they exit the bathrooms. Then they can carry these diseases onto their fellow neighbors.
Okay. So is this something you're going to embark on, the public education?
Sure. It's enshrined in the building code that every household must have a household toilet.
So why aren't we doing it?
But, okay, with the toilets, it's enshrined in it.
It's going on.
So those who do not have, we can hold them before the courts for prosecution.
Right.
But bathrooms isn't captured much in it.
Right.
As I said, like Mass and Assembly, we'll be updating our bylaws this year. And then seeing the stories that have road, in fact, I will insist that we put it in the bylaws so we can enforce it. Once it's not in the bylaws,
it's difficult.
Sure, so we do hygiene education, then all that, to sensitize them to construct their own bathrooms. But once it's enshrined, we can enforce the law and then push them to do it.
Okay, and in getting your assembly to buy into this very wonderful concept, what are you going to say to them about persons with disabilities? Because you saw that story of the young woman who struggled in one of the communities in Accra. Yeah,
it's true. Since last 2 years, any building that assembly does, or in general that the government does, we incorporate in it disability-friendly facilities.
Right.
So going into construction bathrooms, we also give a sharp focus on it. So we give rails for those who cannot walk by themselves, so they can use their wheels So, the wheels and
yes.
Yes, to climb and all that.
Right.
So we'll put it in it so we can also serve those with disabilities.
And what was going through your head when you were watching the story from Bisi, where people who had bathrooms in their homes would rather go to the public bathrooms because they're too lazy to scrub? What struck you?
It's a very worrying situation because if it's only laziness on their part, then in fact it is unattainable. You cannot defend it in any case. People who form the transient population, like artisans who come to work in Accra and all that, they are pardoned. But to give an excuse that out of sheer laziness, you can't scrub your bathroom, I think the health inspectors in the various assemblies must also check on it. So they must check the state of bathrooms in private homes, check the sanitary condition, and enforce it. Once the place is insanitary, we can take them on. But the availability of it is not in the bylaws, so we can't enforce it. But we can give a focus on the sanitary conditions of the bathrooms. And I think the health inspectors are hearing, and then we'll carry it up.
All right, thank you very much, Yao Eduse Boateng. He's a public health engineer at LECMA. If you can just stay with me for a few seconds and I'll let you go. The mayor of Accra, Mohamed Ni Ajay-Sowa, today led an exercise to enforce the AMA bylaws on sanitation. This coincides with the National Sanitation Day exercise, which falls on the first Saturday of every month. Now, guess what? Some shop owners had their shops locked up by the AMA task force because they failed to observe the day. William Evans Income covered today's exercise and has come through with this report.
We have been on the street with the AMA, we've seen people sweeping, we've seen them clearing gutters, and we've also seen the garbages that are cleared from the gutters placed on the shoulders of these gutters, just like we are saying here. But what happens from here? Sir, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
But just say, most say go say I am Messisa, and Omuja.
Yes, it's a good way. I am Messi Sentinel, so to an anina Sachu, and Dinasa Juma Fufro.
And to whom say we say no inclusive.
Invented say yes, you muness a woman, Sadia nature inquisition, because so we gumuness a woman, and so to Anasa.
All right, so Evans has joined me in the studio with some further details on the AMA's assignment. So, I mean, they did this today. It's not the first time we've seen the AMA go on such a big drive to get their bylaws to work. You spoke to the mayor. Do you feel they have a plan to sustain this?
Well, Nana, I just don't want to take so much of your words, but let's just listen to what the mayor said.
Right.
We are following that. You see, 2 compaction trucks are following us with some tricycles in addition. Once people collect it, sometimes once you desilt the drain, it's soaked with water. So you allow the water to dry a bit before you collect it, and that's what we are doing in operations. So all these things that we are doing, certainly we are collecting it, and it's never true that we don't collect it.
Okay, so that was the AMA boss with Evans Income earlier today.
Yeah.
All right, he doesn't answer my question though.
Well, so it's a problem, and I mean, like the man said, all these filth that are found in the gutters, they are removed, placed on the shoulders of these gutters, and they are just left uncollected. It's a problem. But let's just look at what the Local Government Act is saying. I'm talking about the Act of 1993, Act 462. Now, this is what the AMA bylaws says. Every household, industry, offices, and any other premises shall make its solid and liquid waste available to the AMA or its authorized agents or contractors. Let's go to the paragraph 3 of the bylaws. Solid and liquid waste made available by owners or occupiers of premises shall be collected, treated, and disposed of at designated sites by the AMA or its agents or contractors. So our duty is to just gather. If you don't have the bins and what have you, just gather these waste, being it solid or liquid. It is the duty of the AMA or the local authority to collect them. That is all.
All right. So then you can't fault anyone who collects the rubbish from the gutter and leaves it on the shoulder of the road.
Per the bylaws,
you can't fault them.
Anyone. You can't fault anyone.
Okay, and hopefully the AMA will do something about it, because once you collect it, you should be responsible for it, because they generate the filth anyway. But on another note, I mean, I've seen so many times the AMA, engaged in this form of funfair. I call it a funfair because they like to have the media behind them to throw light on what they're doing on this day. Just like we saw a couple of months ago, Easter, they were sleeping and the hawkers were back on the street. It goes back to my earlier question about sustaining the plan, making it work, making the bylaws work. When you spoke to the mayor, did he give you any indication that they have a new strategy to make the bylaws work?
Well, let me tell you this. Currently, the national sanitation side that you normally see people, you call it a fanfare. You are not far from right. It doesn't have any law back in it, okay? Even with the bylaws.
So you can decide to turn up?
You can decide to turn up or not. Even the closure of shops and what have you, it doesn't have any bylaw back in it.
So you do it out of the fullness and gladness of your heart?
Let me
that
tell
you want the city to be clean?
When this particular exercise was introduced in 2014, the rationale behind the introduction of this particular exercise was when the country was grappling with the outbreak of cholera. That was the reason why this particular exercise was introduced.
So a knee-jerk reaction.
Yes. Now, somewhere in 2016, don't forget that we have the new Local Government Act, that is Act of 2016, Act 936, but that one hasn't been gazetted yet. So for that matter, the local authorities like the AMA hasn't come out with a new bylaw. Section 181 of that particular act mandates the AMA and any other local authority to come out with a bylaw. I don't know whether they are going to enshrine or annex into this particular bylaw a law that will empower them to actually sanction people who do not partake the cleanup exercise. Until then, there's nothing like a bylaw. So if they arrest you, maybe they are just taking solace of the fact that you are to collect the refuse and you are not doing that. And for that matter,
but nothing can be done to you.
Nothing
really
can be done to you.
Anyway. Right. Thank you very much, William Evans Inkum. And hopefully, the next time the AMA hits the street, it will be without the razzmatazz, and we'll know that the bylaws are working. And they're just taking a stroll, you know, maybe a keep fit. But that's it. Thank you. Let's take a break. When we come back, Emily and Sigi Nkosi will be here with E-Zone. And then later, how Manchester United came back from 2 goals down at the Etihad Stadium to beat Manchester City 2-3 or 3-2. They can't win the league, but certainly not today. We'll be right back.
A 21st century woman in charge of every aspect of her life, yet with all the advancement in civilization, a section of women still go through life without proper sanitary materials.
I have heard about the sanitary pads, but I have not seen nor used one before. I don't have money to buy a sanitary pad.
Catch Period, Not Shame. A 4-part report exposing the dangers of improper menstrual care. Starting 9th April on TV, radio and online. Period, Not Shame is in association with Fatex. Love life, love Fatex. GH1 News. News you can trust.
Welcome back to News Tonight on GH1 TV. Emily will be here shortly. But before she joins us, access to potable water continues to be a major challenge, not for residents in remote areas only, but even those in Ghana's capital region. In Pabimai, a farming community in the Greater Accra region, over 200 residents or 2,000 residents rely on a single borehole, which sometimes dries up. When this happens, inhabitants fight over the scarce commodity just to have access to a little for their chores. Alice Aite visited the community and has more in this report.
This is what happens each morning at Pabiman in the Ga South municipality of the Greater Accra region, where over 2,000 residents rely on a single borehole for all their water needs. During the dry season, the borehole sometimes dries up, forcing residents to rely on a stream far away from the town. Some of the residents who expressed their frustration to the news team noted that it has not been easy living without potable water and struggling to get the basic need.
Some day it was missionary and say no play a book great me to purete the Ghallywood you boho near Akuapem Twi you said the who here your mantum has and to cut the Timukla no cry a plow be a home pay. Oh, your cobus, ya way some woman, way someone in him, my plow get back. Oh, pipe on. Since you only the Indians, you are the Grammar Pond School on Bessie CABC. One quantum Abacon and Colani go a normal in Pennyphone.
Speaking in an interview with the news team, Chief of the town noted that all efforts to get authorities to fix the water challenge in the community have proved futile, even though he still remains optimistic.
We don't have water, and then people are many. So at times, when they come to fetch water, it creates problems for us. Fight over the water. That is our main problem. We are pleading to the government to come in, even at all, if you can get 2 or 3 to add up to this one, we will be happy.
Apart from the water challenge in the community, almost all farmlands in Pabiman and adjoining towns have been sand-mined, a situation many say is threatening food security in the area. The plea of residents is for government to provide them with more boreholes or pipe-borne water.
Good evening, my name is Emmeline and you are watching E-Zone. Show business has all the glam, the rumors and the petty fights. And that is what makes the industry interesting, according to Afro Moses. So he therefore sees no big deal with the fights, or as we may call it, the beef amongst some musicians.
I'm still waiting for my children and your children to come together and pray together. One day.
Legendary artist Afro Moses sees nothing wrong with beefs in the industry. According to him, the highs and lows are all part of the show business, hence its necessity. He said no entertainer can do without such developments, whether or not it is started by them.
They are doing a promotion sometimes. Whenever you put anybody down, you are raising that person up. It's a psychological, mental, spiritual.
You say this love not be work for you, say no go retire. Stop complaining, baby, stop complaining.
Talking about Shatawale and his consistent jabs at colleagues, he said it is only clever to find a way to consistently stay in the limelight, and that exactly is what the controversial dancehall act has capitalized on.
He's a very clever guy. He provokes you guys. And I don't like him. You are putting him up. He's clever. And you don't fear. Because, you see, the first book I took from my grandfather's room, the secret of life is to have no fear. And if you have no fear, you say what you want, you say. Yes. That's it. So you can't put anybody down. They are all trying. Yeah, it's a matter of choice.
On the impact of their generation of music and now, the eccentric performer explained that there cannot be comparison because the world keeps evolving. He maintained that adjustments have to be made to suit the taste of music of the new generation.
Everything is running, you know, like a circle, and nothing stays permanent. So things are changing, and it shocks people who don't want to change themselves, because time change. When the time change, you got to change yourself.
Meanwhile, he cautioned the new crop to be mindful of their endeavors and be extra careful of who they choose as friends in their rise to fame.
Finally, a sigh of relief for Salman Khan as he says goodbye to the walls of prison. Now, the Bollywood star became a trending topic this week as he was handed a 5-year prison sentence for killing a protected breed of antelope in India.
After 2 nights in prison, Bollywood star Salman Khan can finally breathe some fresh air as he has been granted bail. The 52-year-old, who was sentenced to a 5-year jail term 2 days ago in a court in New Delhi, is finally out pending an appeal at a higher court. Salman was accused by members of the Bishnoi religious sect in West India of shooting at a group of rare black and white antelope on a hunting trip while filming a movie in 1998. The once Bollywood sweetheart, who has been alleged of using his connections to escape manslaughter and other 2 charges in 2015, might just be on his way to freedom again.
And as we wrap up, we could actually be seeing a Vogue Africa in the near future. Now, global phenomenon, model and activist Naomi Campbell, who actually attended the Lagos Arise Fashion Week and also walked this week, has actually said to Reuters that she believes that we just had Vogue Arabia. It is the next progression, and she urges Vogue, stating that there should be a Vogue Africa. It's the next progression, and adding that the continent's contribution to the global fashion industry should be recognized. Well, that's very exciting, and let's see what unveils. So that was it for EZO. My name is Emmeline, and I'll be seeing you next week.
Right, thank you very much, Emmeline Insigi Ngozi there with E-Zone. Catch her later on the week with the core. Right, now let's do some sports. And you don't need to take a wild guess to know why I'm so pumped up. It's because Manchester United came down from 2 goals to beat Manchester City, who of course will be winning the league, but certainly not today. Let's quickly take a look at the scores for all the games that were scheduled for today and what's happening tomorrow, and in the Bundesliga as well. That's coming up on your screens right now. Well, it's actually behind me. So Everton were at home to Liverpool. It was a derby day for them. That game ended 0-0. Talk about Liverpool beating the big boys and being shambolic when they meet smaller teams. Bournemouth were at home to Crystal Palace. They drew as well. Brighton were at home to Huddersfield, 1-1 there. Leicester City lost to Newcastle at home, and these games were all played today. And the big one for the day was the Manchester derby between Manchester City and Manchester United. The highlights are coming up now. All right, so that was the game earlier today. Manchester City took the lead, of course, against Manchester United. And if you're on social media, you would have seen the uproar from United fans and the excitement. That's Vincent Kompany, the leader or the captain of the Manchester City team, with a fantastic header. One even De Gea could not save. Right, so, and that was Manchester City taking 2 goals against Manchester United earlier in the game, only for Manchester United to come back later to equalize and score. Anyway, so that was the other goal, and that's Pep Guardiola, the manager of Manchester City. And the United goals are coming up shortly, scored by Paul Pogba, who else, with a beautiful goal. When he decides to play simple football, he scores amazing goals. Right, so Paul Pogba with the first goal, the second as well by the same man, Paul Pogba. And guess who scored the third? Chris Smalling, who was bashed throughout the game with a fantastic goal. And that's it for tonight. So Manchester United fans all excited. Hopefully the next games featuring City and Arsenal will be something else that will keep us singing and dancing. But of course, as you know, for the local league, yes, we are all supporting our teams, but for me, it is Accra Great Olympics. Thank you so much for joining me on the news. We'll come back tomorrow, 7 o'clock, we'll have Newsroom Diaries. Have a beautiful weekend watching GH1 TV.